Yes.
Good morning, everyone. We are Group 4 and we will be presenting on the topic BERT, pre-training of deep bidirectional transformers for language understanding. So BERT is bidirectional encoder representations from transformers, and it was developed by Google AI in 2018. Its key feature is pre-training of deep bidirectional representations from unlabeled text. So what it does is it can train even from left to right and right to left. So this was a response to the limitations of the previous models like OpenAI GPT, which considered only one direction left to right, limiting their ability to capture full context. So this can be understood by an example. The river is situated on the bank of the river. So if the bank is not given to the model and we have to find that, so BERT will be able to find it because it has the left and the right context. But whereas OpenAI GPT will not be able to find it efficiently because it only has the left context of the sentence. Also, the NLP tasks fine-tuning became easier because of minimal additional parameters, and BERT was able to achieve state-of-the-art performances through multiple NLP tasks. Now we have Harshi with the BERT architecture.
Talking about the architecture, the paper talked about two different models. One was the base model, and another one was the large model. And as you can see, we've listed down the different parameters of both the models. So, BERT is a transformer only model which consists of encoders, and each encoder consists of four layers. One of them is feed forward layer, another one is the multi head attention layer, and then two of them are for normalization. The base model consists of 12 layers and the large model consists of 24 layers. Adding up all the parameters like query key, value, weight matrices, and the weight matrices we multiply with the concatenated vector and the other parameters in feed forward network. So we add up all of them and we get the total parameters for both the models. And as you can see, the large model has a very high number of parameters compared to the base model. Now let us talk about the input and output to this model. So talking about input, the input to word model is a sequence of tokens where the length of the sequence is 512 for our case. And the input sequence also consists of special tokens like CLS and SAP. CLS is added to the start of input to sequence and SAP is added to separate different segments. The input embedding consists of three parts: segment embedding, positional embedding, and token embedding. Token embedding is the representation of word itself or whatever subword, whatever it is. Positional embedding, as the name suggests, gives us the information of what position it is on relative to the other tokens. Segment embedding gives the information of which segment it belongs to. For example, there's a question and an answer, and we mark question as segment A and mark answer as segment B. So that is the information that segment embedding provides. We combine all these three embeddings and then we generate the input sequence. And as you can see, some of the shapes are written on the slide. Now, moving ahead.
We'll talk about the pre-training task. So there are two tasks, masked language modeling and next sentence prediction. So for the BERT model, they are trained parallelly to understand the bidirectional representation language and the sentence relation and discourse structure. So for masked language modeling, 15% of the tokens are randomly selected and masked. So this is a pre-training step, not a fine-tuning. So we'll distribute it, suppose like 80% that are masked, 10% are remain unchanged, and 10% there could be a random bird. So like the man went to buy something in the store. So the man could be replaced by a fruit or something else. So for the next task, it is like next sentence prediction. So two sentences are given to the model and the distribution is 50-50%. So it could have a 50% chance that the sentence has logical sense from the previous one. So next. Now I'll talk about the fine tuning of the model. So from the pre-training, the model has learned about the representation of the language. Now understanding the question answering, named entity recognition, and inference tasks, we are going to use dataset like MNLI, NER, and Squad to get the better understanding and adding layers to properly predict the task. Next.
Okay, so now talking about the experiments or the tests which the BERT model gave and performed really well. So BERT was tested on two main types of tasks, sentence level tasks and token level tasks. So in sentence level tasks, the BERT was given one or two sentences and it need to make a decision about them. Like for example, if two sentences mean the same thing or if a sentence expresses a positive or negative emotion. Whereas in token level tasks, they were given individual words or tokens and they had to figure out its sentiment, like is it positive, negative, or like names of people, places, or things. The most important test or experiment which was done was the glue benchmark or the general language understanding evaluation benchmark. It was a collection of 9 different sentence level tasks, and it is to understand the model's ability of how it understands the language. Here are some of its tests. MNLI is the multi-genre natural language interference. So in this, BERT is given two sentences, and it has to decide if the second sentence follows from the first one, contradicts it, or is it unrelated. In the QQP or the Quora question pairs, BERT has to check if two questions asked on Quora mean the same thing or not. For SST2 or the Stanford Sentiment Tree Bank, the BERT were given a task to decide whether a sentence is a positive sentence or a negative sentence, like we have in movie reviews. The MPRC is the Microsoft Research Paraphrase Corpus. This is a test to see if two sentences are basically saying the same thing or are they paraphrases of each other. COLA is the corpus of linguistic ability. It is in this a single sentence is given, and the BERT model has to tell whether this is a valid English statement or not. So BERT performed really well on this test, as we can see the results down on the table. Uh, it had the highest accuracy compared to some pre-OpenAIs and OpenAI GPT. And BERT large performed better than the BERT base model as it has more parameters. Going to Stanford question answering dataset or SQUAD. This test involves asking BERT questions based on a paragraph or text, and it has to find the right answer within the paragraphs. So there are two versions of SQUAD, SQUAD V1.1 and SQUAD V2.0. So in SQUAD V1.1, BERT is asked to find the exact span of text in a paragraph that answers a question. In Squad 2.0, some questions will not have the answers in the paragraph, and the BERT has to figure out when no answer is available, making the task more challenging. And on this, BERT performed really well, and it improved scores on both the versions, beating the older models. Coming to the SWAG or the simulations with adversarial generations. It is a test designed to evaluate how well a model can predict the next event in a situation based on a sentence. So like it will be given a sentence along with 4 options and it has to choose which one will be the best next sentence of the first sentence that is given to it. In that also it performed really well and even did better than the human experts, as you can see the table alongside. So ultimately we can say that BERT performed really well compared to the previous models. So now we'll have Hira with the ablation studies.
Okay. So ablation studies are the study in which we find out the effect of different parameters and different methods used for training the model. So this helps us better understand that why this model works better or does not work better in all scenarios. So the first effect studied was effect of the pre-training tasks. So it was found when we are not using the next sentence prediction for pre-training, it decreased the accuracy on multiple benchmarks. Next, we found if the left to right model, left to right pre-training was better than masked LM pre-training, and again it was found that it has a significant difference on the matrix, as we can see on squad. uh, this is because in left to right model it has only unidirectional information, and whereas in masked LM model we have information from both sides. This helps the model to better predict the words, or get a better understanding of the language itself. Next, we study the effect of uh, number of layers. So we find that when we go from three layers to 24 layers, we see a very significant increase in accuracy on many multiple benchmarks. So it gives an accuracy increase of almost 10%, which is very significant in the industry. Next, we study about the feature. Next, we try to have the feature-based approach instead of the fine-tuning approach. So what is done is, instead of fine-tuning the parameters of the BERT for a specific task, we take few of the tokens from the top layers, try to concatenate those, and use extract and try to extract the activations from all, and try to predict on some benchmark. But it was found that even with this feature-based approach, in the BERT large model, we could barely reach the accuracy already achieved by fine-tuning approach. So this proves that BERT model actually is effective in both feature-based approach and fine-tuning approach. But again and again, we see that fine-tuning approach actually performs slightly better on each benchmarks. Next, we study the effect of number of training steps. So the question is that, does BERT really need such a large amount of pre-training steps? That is 1 million pre-training steps. So the answer is yes. BERT base actually achieves 1% additional accuracy on some benchmark when trained on 1 million steps instead of 500,000. Next, does MLM, masked LM model, actually convert slower than LTR pre-training? So yes, because masked LM model uses 15% of masked words, it does not have. It has comparatively lesser data in the starting, but we will be able to see that it actually performs much better. Uh, as we move to 1000 pre-training steps, we can see from the graph that it there's a significant difference between masked LM and left to right models. So again and again, we find that bigger models equals better results. From the effect of number of layers, we found that as number of layers increased, we found better results. So this was the first time in the industry it was actually proven that even for smaller data sets, bigger models equals to better results. So this independently came upon this. This independently supported the hypothesis. So can you move to the next slide? So in conclusion, the speciality of BERT model is the bidirectional pre-training, which allows it to have a better understanding of the language. The masked language modeling is very effective because it was found that with different masking percentages, let's say 100% random masking, or 100% same word, it was the model was not performing as good as the 80-10-10 split, but outperforms previous models. So until the BERT paper was released, it actually surpassed all the models before that. It significantly surpassed OpenAI's GPT, which was very dominant before that. Fine tuning is simple yet powerful. So, because BERT model is already pre trained, and the fine tuning step actually requires less number of power, and we can fine tune the BERT model to cater to each specific task, which renders the entire model very powerful because we get the BERT model pre trained from the internet itself. Thank you.